And I said, like, I don't belong here. I just have this itty bitty business. And she stopped me and she's like, we all had to start with itty bitty businesses at some point, and you belong here. And I was so grateful she said that.
Being able to step into who I am has been a huge evolution. There was a lot of people pleasing before, molding who I was to ensure everyone else felt safe and comfortable. Your team is ready for you. Stop holding back.
It was me. It is me. That's how I'm wearing sparkles now, right? Like that's who I am and that's how I am. And it feels so good to have a brand identity that reflects that and that attracts that. It's helped me stand out and it's helped me attract the people I can serve the best.
What I do want you to hear is it's me and it was fun and you took off the mask.
Yes.
Before we start this, I want to just talk about creativity for a minute before we introduce them. It's really easy to think that you're not creative. And part of what my goal has been this year in like being the full version of me is really thinking about what do I enjoy? Like what lights me up? What allows me to have more fun in my business that is going to, again, help me be more me and also contribute to the business. And I used to have this idea in my business that I wasn't actually creative. And I just started to explore that even more and have more fun with it. So like really think about and challenge yourself, even when you were little, like what things did you enjoy that you don't do anymore? And one of the things that I enjoy a lot is even just like fashion and clothes and design. And then I started to think about it even more. Well, I do really love like pop culture and music and tying all of these things together. What else do I love? I love working with great people. And part of these events and even like in our business was really thinking about, okay, how can I work more with great people that we can also lift up and celebrate and work together? And even bringing, when you see Jennifer Lamb here taking the pictures at every event and Rick, and we've worked, this is our third time now working with Brianne and Danny. And it really was a few months ago, we had a conversation with Brianne and Danny after CEO night out. And it was me, Katie, Brianne, and Danny. And we were just like, hey, what could we do together? What things could we do? And I started telling them about some of my ideas and how we do a magazine. And we just had so much fun, the four of us, talking and iterating and thinking about, well, what could this be like? And it turned into the Icon series. And then it turned into them coming here. And then it turned into them helping us with Elevated After Dark. Did any of us know what was that? Oh, let's go into this conversation and know exactly what was going to come out. But working with great people, you can iterate together. And I don't need to come with these perfectly polished ideas coming from the place of like, hey, I have everything figured out. It's more like, hey, I have a little bit of a vision. I have a big vision. And I'm pretty sure I said to them, I'm just going to talk. I don't know how this is going to end up, but like, please like share. Tell me what comes up for you. So I think sometimes we think that like being the icon or being the authority is having everything like perfectly planned out. But really what gets me excited is being creative and working with really great people and seeing what opportunities come up. We like the thing that I love about Katie, which is why we get along so great, which now like Katie and I are like, Brianne is just like us. Like we love to fly the plane. What is it?
Build the plane as we're flying.
Yes, thank you. We love to build the plane. What is it? As we're flying it. And even like with the four of us, like literally last week, we're like, so what are we going to do for this? Like, no, we'll just figure it out. And I trust them. Like, I think that's probably one of my best qualities. And sometimes it does bite you in the ass sometimes, but I'm so trusting. And that can hurt sometimes, but it has so much payoff. So much payoff. So that is the result is like, you don't see the behind the scenes, but this is where it started. And this panel really started from the idea of like, okay, how can I lift up women? How can I have great conversations? How can I be creative? And how can we like do this in a way that's going to benefit all of you. So thank you so much, all of you, for being here. Like Dan said, the reason why we brought them up here is because we want to celebrate creativity, and building brands in 2026 really is about being you, taking off the mask and being more creative. Let people see you have fun. Let people see you enjoy yourself. That's what creates the magnetism and the obsession with what you're doing. So it has been so fun seeing the three of you really rise and grow and really step into your iconic elevated CEOs, especially like through life transitions, through, oh my gosh, just through so much. So thank you for being here. Also, like, I get asked a lot about like parenting and stuff. And kids bracelets. So we brought our girls here. They got to cut out a little bit early. They're going to depart soon. But part of also having fun in your business is also like letting people in and letting them be a part of what you are doing. And that's what we try to do as much as we can, like with our kids, is like letting them be a part of this, letting them experience it, letting them see how our business really helps us all, like the five of us, build a life together. So let them be a part of that. And it really creates something really special. And also, like, in your legacy and in your being an icon, like, it's really important for them to see you shine. So like we try to let them see those like glimmers and they get excited. And also I'll tell you, like, it does really amazing things for building your relationship with your kids when you can let them see you in your power. So creativity. This is one of, like I said, one of the most important things in 2026. And I want the three of you also to really stand and own your iconicness in what you have done, in your world building, in your offers, and just really how you have grown in your business. So I want to start there. And what I would love is for you all, just so everyone in the room has context, to just say your name, your business, and who you help. I think that would be the best way to start. And then Katie and I are going to go through and kind of share what we see, the creativity, and then we'll ask you questions and go from there. And then we'll open it up to the room, because again, like the creativity piece, the fun piece, the obsession piece, the magnetism piece, the more fun you are having in your business, the more impact you're going to have and the more money you are going to make. So just think about it. This isn't to be like any of us on here. This is to have your own version of creativity and fun and play. So,
Hello, everybody. My name is Tiffany McLean. Our business is Lean and Make Bank, and we help licensed mental health therapists make bank in their private practice.
Hi, I'm Ashling Woolley. I own 901 Flights, and I help business owners turn their operating expenses into free travel with credit card points.
That was so good.
That's new.
you were finding that message. That's coming through.
Sold. Amazing. You just made a sale. Yeah, I may be joining. Hi, I'm Liz. I own the Reading SLP, and I help speech pathologists develop an area of expertise in their practice, which they can use to grow their businesses.
So Liz, I want to start with you because you recently did a summit and it was huge, right? And it's been so fun because one of the biggest honors and blessings that we have at our team at Elevated is we get to see what you all do. And we see you in your power, usually way before you all see yourselves in your power. And that's like, we see potential. And that's, I really want you all to hear that, because you wouldn't be in this room if we didn't see your potential. And most of the time, I'm just sitting here waiting for you to see your potential, like I see the potential in you. And that's why I ask you to kind of borrow my belief sometimes, because I believe in you and our literal whole team believes in you. And we're just waiting for you to catch up to that. And it's a big joy when we see you catch up and you like, oh my gosh, just the things that I think that you have done in the past 6 months even. And I think for me, when I noticed you have a big creativity blow up actually was when you actually hired a designer. And I would love for you to talk about that process because on the outside, I feel like that woke up something in you for you to see the possibility. And I remember when you walked into Straight to the Top and you took the photos with Jennifer Lamb, that was a whole glow up. Like that moment, I was like, oh, she stepped into it.
So much. I actually just took photos again with Jennifer, and I told her the very first offer that I put out with those photos sold so well. And I really should have given her a commission because it was those, like, I knew it was the new pictures and it was that new energy. Definitely my new branding, that like my current branding is my 4th iteration of branding. And this is my 2nd brand name, but it's always been the same like core offer. And I have been reflecting a lot about the evolution of my brand and how it presents itself. And for a long time, I wanted to present myself as professional and serious because I serve professionals and the work we do is kind of serious. And so I wanted, muted colors and kind of like a Times New Roman-esque font. And every evolution of that, if I pulled out my 4 brand boards, you'd see it get more playful, but never really. And I was just so tired of that because that's not who I am.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I finally I knew I needed an up level. I was up leveling through the Straight to the Top mastermind and what we've been building in there. And my brand just did not reflect who I was or what I wanted to do anymore. And I met with a designer who you had shared, and I said, I want disco balls. I want disco balls. And it's like the least professional thing, but that's what I want. And it was me. It is me. That's how I'm wearing sparkles now, right? Like that's who I am and that's how I am. And it feels so good to have a brand identity that reflects that and that attracts that. And then that maybe repels people that aren't interested in that either. But it's helped me stand out and it's helped me attract the people I can serve the best. And it's been fun.
And I think what I don't want you to hear in that is, oh, I need to run out and get branding. Like that's not it. What I do want you to hear is it's me and it was fun and it like you took off the mask.
Yes. And I have a lot more fun making content now. And you spoke this morning about where is your content, where are you creating from? And I love creating, but I was creating for a long time out of fear, out of financial pressure, out of conversion rates. Out of statistics and not out of creativity. And having a brand identity that I love, whether it's official branding or not, has just helped me lean into like, wouldn't it be fun if I just put a hot pink overlay on this picture? And that just makes it more fun. And you have spoken, you posted a reel about like the ecosystem that you create with your content. And I've let go of that. Like it needs to convert and it needs to do well. And I'm like, this is just fun. And it's going to find people who are fun and draw them into me. And we'll go from there. And I think that's been working.
No, I mean, it's just, we were talking and I'll actually bring this to Tiffany and then we'll come back to Ashley. Because Nicole mentioned like we get hyper fixated on things, and the things that Nicole gets hyper fixated on are very rarely in my hyper fixation, except I get hyper fixated on her joy. Like pick a topic. I don't have to have any interest in it. But if you are like, I can't stop talking about Bieber at Coachella, or like for me, it's Formula One. Like I could talk about it all day. It brings me so much joy. And that energy is so infectious. And I have discovered I only want to be around people that are passionate about something. And it's actually better for me if it's not the same thing that I share. Do you guys experience that? It's just like, oh my gosh, like tell me more about this thing I actually have no interest in. And the flip side is that if we share a common interest and you're boring and it's serious, it's like an immediate like repelling energy, right? And Tiffany, I remember it was at a previous Elevated event 2 or 3 ago, and we were trying to pull people aside for testimonials. And we were like, what about Tiffany? She's kind of new. Like I think you had like a really good brainstorm or something. And we're like, I wonder if she'd say, well, we put the mic on and you were like, hey, I'm Tiffany. But I was like, this is such a special person. And it was not about what you were saying about the program or even about your own success. It was just like that. And it was like an actual radiation. And what I have seen in you, especially as you're building your team, that's what I want to ask you, as you're building your team and you're realizing like my next level energy for my team, for my clients, for my company has to evolve. It feels to me like even when you're going through it, you're still like joy and fun is your North Star. Is that true? Is like, do you feel that? Is that an act? How do you project that? Because I feel like it's so honestly from you. And I'm just curious how do you stay creative and joyful when you're in this up level in your business?
Not an act. I actually looked at my tag. We all have our tags to say, come talk to me about X. And I looked at mine today and I was like, why did I put this on here? I can't even say what it is because there are children about. I'm editing 90% of what I would say because there are children about.
Oh, no.
You can come look at my tag later. I'm like, why would I do this? So not an act, play. You talked about play on your podcast with Jess. I'm huge on play. Ease first. So I really, 2025, last year, my word was ease. Every year I pick a theme. So ease. And I think having ease allows for, look at this. What do we? Oh no, I'll keep it okay. You don't have to leave. She was like, you all can leave because Tiffany's about to talk. Bye. Yeah. Okay. Yes. No, you can look at my tag.
Elevated after dark.
I know, right? For real life. So yeah, my short answer is I've done a lot as a therapist. I've done I have had a psychoanalyst for 8 years, twice a week, really helping me work through the stuff underneath so that I can be fully myself, present, engaged, masks off. And because of that deep work, it allows me to show up everywhere.
Do you find that when you are being your true authentic self and your honest self to your team, like how is that challenging? Oh yeah. She has a team member in the room for those of you who haven't met Yeshua.
I do struggle. I struggle with that actually. I struggle. We've talked a lot about this with Elevate. I tend to hold back because I don't want to overwhelm my team. So as much as I'm being able to step into who I am has been a huge evolution. There was a lot of people pleasing before, molding who I was to ensure everyone else felt safe and comfortable. And so that still shows up with my team where I'm like, don't want to give all my ideas, don't want to say too much. So you all have been working with me to have me show up, put it aside and say, your team is ready for you. Stop holding back.
To go off of that idea, I would love to hear, because I know like you are just a passionate person, and you can really hear when you're like so fired up. And even from like your content and that like the behind the scenes of like we have been talking about as a team, just like Tiffany's content, when you're so fired up and you're like putting into the world like your worldview and your like where you see it going for people, like how do you get there? Because sometimes it's really easy for CEOs, entrepreneurs to lose that fire and that passion. And when you are in your iconic, elevated CEO, like passion, speaking from that place, it sells for you, you know, like that's when you can make the most impact. So how do you find that place of speaking from so much passion?
I actually don't resonate. It's helpful for me to be here with this idea of icon. I'm like, I'm not an icon. I'm not an icon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you kidding?
I know. It's not how like when people talk about, when I hear entrepreneur, like often like dudes are like, I'm building my legacy. I'm like, I'm just living my life. So it's helpful to hear this language. For me, what helps me show up everywhere is having feedback loops. You mentioned this earlier. For me, I get excited by our students and what they're doing and people who are angry and like challenging. So for me, I go have a conversation with a student or our student community. Then I come onto Instagram and share. And then the people on Instagram have a big reaction. Then I go back. So really, I could not create. My creativity is inspiration. I like my therapists are my muse. And so like they inspire me to go out and create. So it feels like if it's about me, I'm like, I don't have anything. Yeah. But if it's about our students and what we're creating or someone else's story, then I'm like, that's why that when you said come do a testimonial, I'm like, this is for Elevate. I can show up for Elevate in ways that I don't really feel that passionate about showing up for myself. Yeah.
That's so interesting because I will say for Nicole too, like anytime that Nicole, and I'm speaking on behalf of you, but like if you're in a creative rut or like the more you immerse yourself in elevated client wins, or you'll ask Jess like, hey, like who's somebody that is like really showing up? Like the more I love that because I had not put that together. It re-energizes you and it shows up in the messaging. And even if it's anonymous, you know, even if you're just like, I just talked to my team and one of our clients did X, Y, and Z, I love that because you can like borrow from someone else's story and like it never hurts to go back to your clients' wins. Even when you're like, I want more, I want faster results, I want this, like look at the impact report we just shared, right? Again, like the context is I know every one of you is like, oh yeah, but I wish okay, great, 53 million. Like that's a huge thing. And I love that because I think that's a usable action item for you guys. If you're feeling like, where do I go with my messaging? How do I like go back and pull 5 of your, ask them. I was talking to a table here. I was like, just go ask them what wins they're celebrating. And people don't share it unless you solicit it. But when you ask, they will not stop talking about how excited they are for their business and their life and the impact you've had. So I love that. And I had not put that together. Speaking of somebody who, like Aisling, it's so fascinating because you won the Elevated CEO Award a couple of events ago. Well, there's always like a Dan and Aisling story where Dan will be like, oh my gosh, like this is like Aisling came in with this and then but it's so interesting to me because my perception is when you came into Elevated, it was like a very like transactional thing. Like I'm speaking to these people that live in this city who want to, right? And I look now at what you are building, not even have built, like are actively building. And it is that brand, it's that movement. So can you share, like, where did your business start? Where is it today? And where, like, if you wave the magic wand, what does it look like in 2 years for what you want your business and your life to look like?
Well, first, I feel like being up here, I'm like, one of these things is not like the other. That like
false.
No. What I'm saying though is like, I am not very outgoing. I'm like, I was thinking, I don't think I even have anything hot pink in my house. And like everyone just has all of these like glamorous clothes. I'm just like, I'm casual and that's great. And that's kind of how I show up too, is that like my emails are laced with like really sarcastic, dry comments and like being really witty. And like, that's so me to put that in emails that like me dressing up just wouldn't match me. But, and so there's just like so many ways to make it happen that I'm like, what an icon, but like also what an icon. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I don't want to be anything that I'm not naturally like, I would be uncomfortable. But, I was actually thinking about it when I came here. It was 4 conferences ago. I was making $4,000 a month, and I sat at a table of women who were making over $1 million. And I said, like, I don't belong here. And I even said to one of them, like, I just have this itty bitty business. And she stopped me and she's like, we all had to start with itty bitty businesses at some point, and you belong here. And I was so grateful she said that. But where I was so, you're right, it was very, very niche, very, very specific. I was helping people find cheap flights out of Memphis and nowhere else, because that's where I live. $70 a year. And now my newest product is $4,000, and like building up to that was hard. But I honestly, I was thinking about this with Dan's text message telling me that I'll be up here. He gave this training last summer that I think has just totally shifted the way I've thought about my business. He was talking about animal trails. Do you remember this? Go find it. I hope I don't butcher it, but it's like, I think it was like talking about going through a safari and trying to find the animals to go see on a safari. Oh, good. Well, I haven't been on a safari either, but it was like, essentially, you go and you find when you're trying to track down animals, there's old trails and there's new trails. And there's just a ton of different trails. And you have to figure out which ones are the old ones and which ones are the new ones. And he related it to business of there are sometimes we are going down old trails that what used to work, but we're like, but there was always an animal here. This always led somewhere. And we have to pivot and recognize like maybe the animals are moving in a different direction. And when he said that, I think it was the next day I sent out an email that I realized I was teaching people how to do credit card points, and people weren't really successful in learning how to do it for themselves. But people kept saying, like, this is too hard. Can't you just do it for me? And I was like, well, I don't know. And then the next day I went and just said, how about, what if I did it for you? What would that look like? And I sold someone the next day, the biggest offer I'd ever given. And I went, that's where my trail is, that people don't want to learn how to do it. They want me to just do it for them, and they're willing to pay for it. And all of a sudden I switched, and that was a huge change in my business.
I love this because now I get to see like the perspective of being a client through your eyes in a different way too. And like I had not heard that story, and I just saw, like, I looked around the room and there was like this, right? Like, and what's interesting is someone earlier when we were talking about the obsession audit asked like, well, why don't you make it a low ticket? And I hope I'm not oversharing this. Like, Nicole sent an email that was like introducing the messaging map, like 27, whatever it was. And we were literally, Nicole mentioned this, like we were literally building it as it was coming in. But what we're not going to be afraid to do, and this comes very much from Nicole as the CEO, which is why I want to share it, is like, okay, what does our audience need? What are they responding to? And how quickly can we send that email? How quickly can we get it out there? And being unafraid of building it when the demand comes in. If nobody had responded to it, guess what? We probably wouldn't have built it, or we would have refined it. But when you send an email and all of a sudden like the sales are coming in, guess what? We have something. So now we can justify taking the time to create it. And not a single person had a negative experience, right? Buyers weren't like waiting 6 weeks. It's just like, how quickly can you move? And that's really the way to test demand. And that's what I see not only in our panel, but in our most creative clients, is like doing it scared, doing it without a system. And I'm saying this intentionally as the head of systems, right? Like if you wait until you're like, well, I have to have or like, how many emails should I have in my welcome sequence? Or like, okay, just like, what if you just send an email? It's like, great, we'll send you more instructions on this in the next 24 hours, right? Like, how could you market and sell? And if it sounds like fun, it's probably going to sound like fun to your audience. And Nicole literally boxed her. She was like, I'm getting this download about like what our audience needs. I want to start talking about it. Can we go? And there is always a pause of like, hey, is this going to break the team? Right? Like, do you think that's fair? What would you say about your experience? Like, even messaging map is just an example of like, this is what our audience needs. I'm gonna do it.
It's always, and I want to hear your perspective more on creativity around offers too, but it's always balancing like my intuition and my gut with what can the team handle right now. And it really is learning the nuance with that. And we'll open up for some questions around that, but it is around like being radically honest. This is an intuitive hit, I have to go, or this is an intuitive hit, we're going to go later. And then bringing the team in and managing that conversation and having open and honest conversation with a level of trust, because I always want our team to be radically honest with what they can and can't handle at the moment, knowing the context is they work their butts off and they're willing to move. And it really is having open conversation and a level of trust to say, hey, I trust you so much that I'm going to be honest with where I want to go, but you need to be honest with what you can handle.
When you were talking about sending the email, you're like, okay, I have this, like, what does the complexity look like in your business? Do you feel like I just send the email and I make the decisions? Do you now have people around you that you have to factor in? What does that look like now? Or do you see a point at which you're like, my creativity, like I'm moving so fast, I'm going to need backup?
I think I met with Katie one time and she talked about building the plane as you fly it. And that was so helpful for me to realize I can build as I go. I've been like testing out this idea of working with business owners for a while and like kind of playing around with current customers I had. And then I sold my first ever full product to the Culvers. and it meant that I took them, I don't usually work one-on-one with customers anymore because I have a team beneath me, but I took them on because I wanted to create the whole system of how to work with people who are business owners and create the whole process. And it was this really fun moment, like I just had a lot of fun getting back into working with customers and creating the process and then training someone else how to do it after me, that I won't be doing that with future people, but it was really fun to get back into it and create a good system for the next people.
So I think this is the part that, again, like the creativity and having fun. And the part I want to highlight for Aisling is what I heard you say is, I'm not going to do this forever and I'm not going to do this for everyone, but I really want to iterate. So I'm going to take a chance with this and see how it goes and then see what happens because it feels fun right now. A lot of times we think that, oh, if I do this right now, it means I have to do it forever and then I'm going to do it forever, instead of being like, hey, this is a little bit of a test and I'm going to have fun with it. And then I'm going to decide, do I go? Do I systematize? Do I change it up? But what is that process like for you? And what would you say to someone who is feeling a little nervous with testing and just having fun and being creative with offers? Because when you think about it, where you started was with one offer that was $70 a year to this, which is more in the high ticket-ish range, right? And to go from that low ticket to where you are now, that is amazing and requires a lot of like trust and taking risks.
Oh, every time I've had to create a lot of new offers, going from 70 to 4,000, it meant that there was a lot of in between. And I'm grateful I kind of did steps, because asking someone for $70 used to be really uncomfortable. And now I'm asking for 4,000 and it doesn't feel even the same level. But so I'm glad I had the steps in between. But I used to, I don't know, maybe I feel like you guys would need to hear this. I used to only take on customers that were really difficult. And it meant that I started hating my job. But I was like, I don't want my team to have to deal with the really difficult people, or they're so difficult that they're like needing to work with me. But like that meant I started hating the offers I had. And I was like, how do I weed these people out? And maybe I should. But by allowing myself to do the parts of my business that I enjoy the most, I think that's when my business has flourished. That I'm like, I'm so excited. I can't wait to sell this because I just created something that was so fun. And like, as I saw, I just started working with the Culvers and I was just like, this is how amazing it will be a year from now. And like that all of a sudden made me go, I can't wait to do this for everyone else.
By the way, I think you Dan, because like Dan will come off a sales call and be like, Jess, Katie, I actually don't really know what I just did, but like it was so exciting and they were so cool. So I said we'd make this work. But like that's actually really fun because I hope that's correct, Dan. Like Dan will, some of them, he's like, this is so cool. I just talked to the coolest person. She's doing this. Here's where she is. So I said, here's where we can meet her. And it still is protective of the business. But like when Dan gets off a sales call and is like, boom, that was so fun. It's energizing for the team too. And then Jess and I aren't like, oh my gosh, we have to do a different contract. And no, it's like, okay, cool. We get to work with this cool person and we're very capable of tweaking the system for the right person and the right reason.
Can we do questions? Yeah. So does anyone have any questions for any of us up here around anything we talked about? Creativity, based in creativity?
So Aisling, you really resonated with me because I'm about where you are, about 4,000 a month, which is 6,000 shy of where I'm aiming to be. And how can I know I have my own tools. I'm going to be using my own ball and practicing when I preach to do this, but how can I shift into the future version of me that isn't at the end of her financial ramp? Because that like, even with all the work I've done, like that's like so prevalent in my mind. And I know that that's really impacting things and I'm trying to let it go. I'm trying to celebrate wins. I'm trying to do all these things and it's tough.
Can I answer? Yeah. Okay. Yes. I was actually going to pull Nicole aside to tell her this, but I've been listening to a bunch of old audios, just like new baby. I'm like on walks a lot. That's what I've been doing. And at some point I was listening to something that so just felt like it unlocked, like it was just like a breath of fresh air for me. But I feel like in the business world, we talk a lot, especially with like launches and stuff, about like how your revenue is like steady, and then all of a sudden takes off. And I kept waiting for that to happen and waiting and waiting and waiting. And years later, I still don't have like a month that it just took off. But Nicole, in some training, commented about how she never had that, but that it's been like this incremental growth. And I looked back and I went, I have 5x'd my business across years, but I keep telling myself I'm waiting for my business to take off. And like, it's okay that like I just did $1,000 better this month than I did last month. That's still my new best month. And like $1,000 more, like that's something to be celebrated too. And so, I mean, incrementally, that's huge. And so even though you are small, it's celebrating that you're slowly getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's something to be celebrated too.
Just for Aisling real quick, I was one of her $70 a year students at the very beginning. So I've seen the transformation. It's pretty cool. My question is for kind of all three or whoever wants to give the most input on it. How do you take the confidence from seeing the growth in your clients and your students over into sales so that you can continue to basically give that future vision to clients and students to say, hey, this is where you're going to be, and like make that, I don't want to say transaction, but sale to that person?
I am the worst person at that. I'm terrible at it. My solution is to get a sales team to do it for me. I feel, again, kind of when I think about the program I created, I'm too close to it, so it feels like an extension of me. And I'm like, do it or don't. It's really hard. And so for me, I can go out in the world and like bring in the people. I've been feeling like a lot of last year tension. I went real hard in sales last year and learned how to do it. And we did really well in our business. And I'm now really been feeling a pressure of like, it's very weird to be like, lean in, make bank. And then like, hey, get on a sales call with a one-to-one, like get in the program. So like the icon energy of Nicole with like the sales hit of Dan has not felt good to me. And my sales have shown it this year of like, I'm just not doing it anymore. Like if someone's like, that's expensive, I'm like, we don't keep it moving. So our solution for that is to have be a systems fix. So I'm not the one both bringing the icon energy and then trying to get the sale.
I would say the same. It's been a systems fix, a very, very small systems fix with a team member that I have that I've taken very small steps in the past few weeks to elevate her into a small sales role. And it's so far gone great because I think it's really hard to separate the person. Like when you've created something and you can just slip into that convincing energy and real quick, it can bring you down if the sale doesn't convert. And it can make you question and doubt, am I good enough? Am I worthy? Even though you know you are. Like you have the Facebook group full of all your client wins and that one call can derail you. It's a challenge.
Something that I said, well, like, because I actually like selling, so I'll answer this too. So one thing that I have done is like, whenever I'm on a sales call, I truly am qualifying. I'm not selling. I'm trying to focus on like, okay, let me hear about all your qualities and connect them to a client I already have. And so that I can see your future and I can see the pieces that you're missing. And that gets me really excited. And so a lot of times, like when I'm on sales calls, I'm really just comparing the person who I'm selling to current clients or even past clients. And I'm saying, oh, you remind me of this person. And that gets me excited because I can't see it. You probably shouldn't be in Elevate. You know what I mean? So it's a way that I qualify. And I just feel like my job more and more is to kind of like Tiffany's energy is like sell less and less. I'm not pushing anyone in Elevate. If you have any feedback, it's just like move on, you know? So I'm not trying to get anyone in. But for those right people, I am trying to paint that picture of like, no, trust me. I see what you're doing. There's 3 things you're doing wrong. We're going to walk you through those 3 things. We're going to do this, this, and this. And I can show that future because I'm so connected to the client results. And I think that's why, like, we can't be attached to all of your results, but when we see those results, we have to connect the dots of like, what you did isn't random. You know, what they've done isn't random. There's a process to follow. There's feedback loops to get into. And so that's what I try to do.
Would you ever consider hiring a previous student to be a part of your sales process?
I just did.
That was easy.
I used to teach people how to do credit card points, and now we do it for them. And so it just meant that the person that they were just like, so we could fast track their training so much more because they understood our product and they understood our process and they understood like the way we approach. Like there's lots of different ways to approach credit card points, but this person now understands exactly how I approach it. I think She hasn't started yet, so hopefully it goes well. But it means that we can fast track her whole training, and I don't know. She just feels like a way better fit than anyone else that we were able to hire.
I would say the opposite. We work with licensed mental health therapists to help them earn a lot more money. So then to say like, come and work now for hourly pay and a commission, it's not the audience doesn't fit. So for us, we did have a mentor who was like, I'll sell for you. But I felt like I want her to be going out and making her life first fee and focusing on that, not coming in to sell for my business. So we're actually going to try the different route of going out and finding someone who's like, sales is what they're obsessed with and what they do, at a price point that works for our business.
Yeah, this is a question for anyone. How do you know when to distinguish, I don't think this is working, or I'm on the old trail and there's a new trail, and just trying everything, like the shiny object syndrome? And for instance, you said you were teaching people and then you moved to doing it for them. I mean, to me, that would have been a very hard change, because the whole reason I want to teach people how to do something is because I don't want to do it for them. But you followed that, and maybe that's the right, so I got all these ideas in my head. Oh, maybe this, maybe this, maybe this. And
I think it's important. I think as Dan who pointed it out to me, I built my business backwards than most people. Like I started low ticket and I started really broad, and I've gone towards individual, whereas most people start with one-on-one and then go really broad. And so it probably is a little bit more industry specific. But with the following the trails, I was looking at what questions I was getting, what hand raisers were getting, like clicks and responses. But then even like for my current customers, where they felt like they were getting gaps. And my problem was I found that like 80% of the people I was teaching how to do it just like gave up before they even got anywhere. And I went, that's a huge indication. Like, how could I renew these people when they haven't even completed what they were going to do? And so I needed to shift to make them more successful, but also all my future customers more successful.
And I'll add on to that, because in the process of up-leveling and rebranding, and I exhibited my brand at a national convention at the end of last year. After that, I decided to shut down my core offer because I was so sick of it. I wasn't excited about it. It didn't light me up. I don't think it really lit my clients up anymore. It just wasn't connecting. And I had felt like that for a while. I still love what I do, and my new offer is a new iteration of that. But I just felt it was time, and it doesn't feel right. And I did that at the beginning of December, and I went through all of the holidays and the new year, like really without anything to sell. I had some low ticket stuff, but it wasn't leading anywhere. And then the past few months, I've been rebuilding and retrying on different things. I tried doing a mastermind, and now I'm really focused on my membership. And this is where it's feeling really exciting, this membership focus. It's come out of my summit. And how I've been feeling the past month or two in my business is what I was looking for last fall. But I had to go through it. I had to take the risk. And yeah, it was really scary over the new year, thinking about, I don't have an offer for 2026. I know I'm going to do something and know it will be okay, but I really don't know what that is. I just trusted my gut. So if you're feeling that, follow that trail. If you're feeling like you're on the old trail, switch to the new trail. Yeah.
I have a question. This is for anyone about pay for both sales and ops people. What do you decide how to pay them, hourly, commission? Like, what is that amount for both of those roles, and what's attracting the right person?
I would just say talk to Katie. Katie is going to be the one who tells you all of those numbers. So that's what I did. I tend to, Katie will tell you all those numbers. I tend to invest in, I'm working on this with my magical frequency reset lady. Nicole will tell you about her. But I tend to invest in the business. So that Elevate helped me hire our new director of operations. And I'm very open about numbers. They were like, look for like a $3,500 per month price point for a part-time DOO. I'm like, impossible. Not for what I want. I didn't get someone for $35,000. I got someone for $6,000. But I'm like, that's fine. She's going to get us to a 7-figure year, or 85K months. I have full confidence. Put the money in, let's go. So I both take the feedback and then go with my gut. And I'll also say I have in my business always a massive surplus. It looks like I'm very risky, but I save a lot of money in my business so that I can take massive risks without any fear financially.
All right. Well, that wraps up our creativity panel. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was so good.